Chapter 5. A Terrifying Portrait. Penny and Louise regarded their friend with undisguised skepticism. They understood that Laura was tired and nervous, and her overwrought condition, it would be easy to imagine she had seen eyes of a painting actually move. "I can tell you don't believe me," the girl said, "but it's true." "The bedroom was quite dark when you were in there," Penny remarked soothingly. "You probably were mistaken, Laura." "Then I must be losing my mind. Those horrible eyes blinked and moved sideways in their sockets. I saw it." "Laura," said Louise firmly, "this is no place for you. Come on back to Riverview with us." "No, I shall stay. Perhaps I did get excited." Laura averted her face, feeling that she had made herself appear ridiculous in the eyes of her friends. "The paintings in this house are the most ghastly things I've ever seen," Penny declared. "But I imagine one could get used to them after a few days. Laura, would it make you feel more comfortable if Louise and I stayed with you tonight?" "Why, yes, of course, only I'd not ask you to do it, and Mrs. Comstock might object. We could pay for our room. Since she takes tourists, I don't see why she should object to us. Louise, would your folks mind if you stayed?" "I don't know. I'd have to telephone." "So would I, but I'm certain Dad won't mind. Suppose we talk with Mrs. Comstock now." The girls went towards the parlor, intending to speak with the mistress of the house. Hearing voices within, they hesitated upon the threshold. Mrs. Comstock, her back turned, was talking in low, tense tones to her husband. "I'll tell you, I'll not send that girl away," she said angrily. "She's a good worker, and I'm tuckered out trying to keep up with this big place and take in tourists." "It's dangerous to have anyone here, and you know it, Anna," the man retorted. "Do you want us to get in trouble?" He broke off abruptly, having noticed Louise and Penny in the doorway. The girls apologized for the intrusion and mentioned their wish to remain for the night. Mrs. Comstock frowned and started to refuse, but before she could speak, Penny interposed hastily. "We expect to pay for our room, of course." "What do you think, Gus?" the woman asked, turning to her husband. "Might as well pick up $1 or $2 wherever we can," he muttered. "I'll get the register, and you girls better sign in like regular overnight guests. There's state regulations, you know. It'll be $2 in advance." Penny paid the fee, for Louise had little money with her. In signing the register, she noticed that the last guest who had spent the night at the old mansion had been a man by the name of J.D. Merriman from Chicago, assigned to room number 7. "Where's your luggage?" asked Mr. Comstock. "We brought none with us," Louise explained. "You see, we had no thought of remaining." "Well, I guess it'll be all right, though we don't usually take folks without luggage," the man said. "I'll let you have room number 7. "No, Gus!" cried Mrs. Comstock sharply. "Not that room." Mr. Comstock glanced angrily at his wife. "Room 7 hasn't been dusted," the woman stammered. "Put them in number 10. They'll like that much better." "Why can't we share Laura's room?" inquired Louise. "I'm sure she wouldn't mind." "It would save bed linen," Mrs. Comstock agreed quickly. Gus Comstock acted none too pleased with the arrangement, but he refrained from further comment. "Will you take dinner here?" Mrs. Comstock inquired. "That'll be 50 cents apiece." "No, we thought we'd go next door to the cafe," Penny replied, without consulting Louise. The prospect of hash and rice pudding held no lure, and besides, she did not wish to make Laura have extra work. "Lamvar keeps a mighty poor table," Mr. Comstock said despairingly. "You won't like it, in my opinion." "Well, we'll see," responded Penny, unmoved. Returning to the kitchen to tell Laura that the Comstocks had agreed they might remain, the girls found her toiling over a hot stove. "I'm glad you've decided to stay," Laura declared. "Of course you may share my room. I'll not feel so lonesome with company." Leaving the girl to serve supper, Penny and Louise started towards the cafe which adjoined the mansion on the left. They paused for a moment to stare at the dark river which flowed in a swift, steady stream close to the door. "I can't imagine who would lay out a street in such a fashion," Louise remarked. "All these buildings are dangerously near the water." "I imagine they were built further back," Penny returned. "Probably the river has cut into the bank as the years went by. One of these days I imagine everything will topple into the water." "It wouldn't be a very great loss," Penny replied. "As far as I'm concerned, Mr. Gus Comstock and his wife can be perched on the roof when old Mansion swims off. They are very unpleasant, that pair. Did you hear what they were saying, Penny, when we came into the parlor?" "Yes, it puzzled me. Why should Mr. Comstock consider it dangerous for Laura to remain here? And he acted so queer about that room. I was tempted to insist upon sleeping there despite Mrs. Comstock's protest. I'm glad you didn't, Penny. I haven't any overpowering desire to spend the night in a room with portraits that have eyes that roll back and forth and cut capers at you." "Oh, that part must be nonsense, Lou." "Yes," Laura was excited. Louise agreed. "So many things happened here today, she didn't know what she was doing. Still, it's very strange Mrs. Comstock was so set against us having that room. She acted almost as if she were afraid of something. She said that it hadn't been dusted." "Oh, that was only an excuse, Lou. Mr. Comstock seemed to understand what his wife meant, for he let the matter drop. Another odd thing. You remember the cafe owner dropped a hint about the mansion? He said to take his advice and not spend the night here." "And we're planning to do just the opposite?" Louise exclaimed. "I had forgotten all about it." "That was one reason why I especially wished to stay," Penny confessed with a chuckle. "Well, shall we have our supper and telephone home? Perhaps while we're in the cafe I can induce Lem Var to elaborate upon his original warning." The cafe was entirely deserted when the girls entered. They asked to use the telephone and placed long-distance calls to their homes in Riverview. Both girls received permission to spend the night at White Falls. Penny noticed that the proprietor, Lem Var, listened closely to the conversation, and as he served them a little later at one of the white tables, he commented upon their decision to remain at the mansion. "So you decided to stay after all?" he inquired. "Yes, it would take us a long while to drive back to Riverview tonight," Penny answered. "Don't you think we'll like the place?" Lem Var did not answer, but hastily went to the kitchen. Soon he reappeared, bearing a tray laden with food. Despite Gus Comstock's predictions, the dishes were tasty and well prepared. The proprietor loitered nearby while the girls ate their food, and Penny saw him gazing at them with troubled eyes. Several times he seemed upon the verge of speaking. Finally she said again, in a conversational tone, "So you don't think we'll like the mansion?" The man came near the table and lowered his voice. "You wouldn't catch me staying there," he said. "Not on your life." "Why?" questioned Penny. "Well," returned the proprietor's voice significantly, "something might happen." "What room are you staying in?" "I'm not certain," replied Penny, astonished by the question. "Is it on the south side of the building?" "No, on the street side." "Then that's not so bad," the man said in relief. "You had me good and scared for a minute." "Just what is wrong with the place?" demanded Louise impatiently. "Is it supposed to be haunted?" "Nothing like that," the man muttered. "I shouldn't be telling you all of this." "If you feel we might be in any danger, it's your duty," said Penny quietly. "Has all this mystery anything to do with room number 7? The man gave her a quick, quizzical glance. "That's it," he said. "I'll tell you." His voice trailed off, and he began to gather up the dishes on the table. Glancing towards the door, Penny and Louise saw that Gus Comstock had noiselessly entered the cafe and was regarding Lem Var with an expression of deep suspicion. Da 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 da.